Now, we decide to go this way. What happened to the other decision that you'd put so much energy in thinking, should I do that? What happens to that energy? But the other reality is also created. You created it because you were thinking about it. In the other reality, another you is living out the other reality. That's the simple way. It is not only big decisions. They said it happens every single time you make even the smallest decision. Should I go to the store or should I stay home? Should I cross the street or should I stay on this side of the sidewalk? Every time you make any decision at all, it splits again. And another you is acting out these other worlds and other decisions. And that can blow your mind. That's why you don't know about it. Can you imagine what that would be like if you knew all these things? Plus, you have all your past lives, you have all your future lives, and this is now. This is all the probable things that are happening to you in this life. And so they said that's why we cannot know everything. We must focus on this life, this decision, this reality be created right here. Because to know the other things, we can't handle it. Our minds are just not capable of doing it. I have some people come to me who have had glimpses of what they think are their other selves, living in another city or something, and they kind of peek in on them sometimes. Well, that's very unusual, but that means they are having access to the other reality that their other part is living out. Now, see, so that's why I don't bring up some of these things at every conference or every lecture, because it's a little hard to digest, a little hard to understand. So I tell people, just let it, I said, treat it as mind candy. Something to think about. You don't have to take it too seriously, but it is what they said happens. We focus on this one right now because this is the one we're living right now. But you can create any reality you want. Your mind is that powerful. You are a creator. Everything in your life you have put there. You have created and put there. A lot of people don't like to hear that because their lives are not exactly that good. And they said, what do you mean? I made myself miserable. I married the wrong guy and all these awful things happening. They have put in their life, they would do. For whatever reason. Maybe it's karma. Maybe you're paying back for mistakes in another life. But you created the mess that you're in. If you realize that you created your reality, then you can uncreate it by focusing on what you really want. What is it you really want to do? What do you really want to create? And that will be your reality. When you realize the mind is that powerful. And I've done whole lectures on just that subject because everything in my life, with my company, with my books, I created it myself. So I know you can do it once you really know what you want to do. And you got to know what you want to do. You can't be vague. That's what a lot of people say, well, I'd like this, but you got to be specific down to the last detail, and you can have what you want in your life. You can create your own reality. But anyway, all these other probable selves out there, I always say I wish them luck anyway. Somewhere there's another me that never went into any of this. Probably still doing volunteer work in the hospital and staying at home cooking. And I wish her luck, but I think she'd be boring. PMH has probably several other selves that didn't do this at all, But this is what we're focused on right now. Maybe it all comes together. I think it does at the end when we finally all get back anyway. But these are things I wanted you to know because they're going to be coming up when I get to the New Earth. Okay. Now, I've done whole lectures on life after death and what happens when you die, and I wrote the book Between Death and Life about how it feels when you die, where you go, what it's like on the other side, the whole cycle. But what I have found, we all originated with God. We all originated with the same place. Now, I am having more and more people now who, instead of going into past lives, are going back to the source. They always call it the source. The source is the same thing that we call God. They're not bothering with past lives anymore. And I thought that was strange because all these years, it was always going back to past lives. Now they're not. When I put them under, they will go back to their beginning, when they were with God, when they were with the source. They all describe it the same way, which I think is amazing enough. And it is so wonderful, it's beyond belief. But maybe that's what we're supposed to be knowing now at this time, what it's really all about. But we started with the source. And even though some people a while ago was talking about they don't believe in the Big Bang, something happened where we all exploded out and we left the source. And all you really are is a spark. A tiny, tiny spark that left God. And when it comes right down to it, it's just that little tiny spark. And many, many people see themselves that way. And they'll see when they're with the source, it's total happiness. It's a feeling they can't describe. There's so much love. It's always described as a huge light. Some of them call it the great central sun. You've probably heard that expression. But it is always a huge, bright light. And they are in the light, and they feel so comfortable there. It's such a love that you can't even imagine. And they don't want to leave. And so I keep saying, well, if it's so beautiful, why did you leave? They said, because God needed a knowledge. And they sent us out as sparks to accumulate knowledge, to bring knowledge back to Him. And we were sent on our journeys. In this way, we're like cells in the body of God. We have to travel through every possible situation, every possible life, every possible universe, planets, everything you could imagine, and accumulate knowledge and bring that back. And that when we return to God is with everything we have learned in all of the lives we've ever experienced. That's when you can go home. And they always say, I want to go home, because they want to go back to the source. But every one of them, sometimes they start crying. They'll say, I'm home. It's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. And when they're there, they're all together. It's a wonderful togetherness. And when they are sent out as the spark, they're separated and they're lonely. They don't like it. And there's always that yearning sometimes in people, I want to go home. They don't know where home is, but they know it's not here. And it's that feeling of separatedness and being lost, so to speak. And you don't know how many emails and letters I get from people like that they don't want to be here. So you start out on your journey. You have to be everything. You have to experience everything before you can go back. It is a school. Earth is a difficult school. It's one of the hardest. They said Earth is a challenging planet. But you come here to mostly learn emotions and limitations. And a lot of other planets don't have to learn that. It's a planet that was given free will to see what you would do with it. And they sit there and shake their heads at what we're doing with it, because they cannot interfere. They have to allow us to make our own mistake. And that's part of their free will. And we have to keep going and going, and that's what the learning is about. You make a mistake. You hopefully are not going to make the same mistake again, but you come back again. It's a school where you can skip a grade, but you can't I got that wrong. In a school where you have to take a grade over, but you can't skip a grade. You can't go from kindergarten to college. You got to take it step by step. If you don't pass the grade the first time, you're going to have to take it over again. And that's where people have the same things in their life again and again and again, and they keep drawing the same things to them. And until they figure out what it is they're trying to learn from that situation, it's going to keep happening in their life. Then when they finally figure it out, then things will change in their life. And, okay, they draw the same kind of men in their life. I have a lot of women doing that, and other things like that. They keep having the same kind of jobs that they hate. Same situation over and over again until finally they'll say, all right, I don't need this, and they can move on. Then you go to the next lesson, which may or may not be easier. We don't know. But I tell people, you all have bad things happening in your life. Everybody does. But what did you learn from it? They don't even think about that. If you learned even one thing from that horrible thing that happened to you, that was what it was all about. Even one thing. So you think about it. We all have bad things, but then if you understand what it was trying to teach you, then that's what it's all about. Because they say there is no bad, there is no good, it's only energy. And what we do with the energy, and how we make mistakes and learn from them and go on to something else. And it's more complicated than that, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. I spoke for hours on just these little pieces I'm putting in here. Okay.